Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to RLCS Overtime, your one-stop shop for all things RLCS and Rocket League eSports. I'm your host, Wave Punk, and I've got a Quinn Lobdell and a Marky Duda on the desk. What? What is this? What happened to carpet? What'd you do with carpet?
They just needed someone better, you know?
Oh, that makes sense.
Time to upgrade.
Yeah.
Time to upgrade, yeah.
And I had to go with the beardless version, you know, take that one away. This is the last show, guys, before RLCS starts up for Season 4. We are so excited. We're going to definitely take some time this show. We got players here, we got former players here, we got analysts here. We'll talk about what we enjoyed the most in Season 3, 2, 1, and then also talk about what we're looking forward to in Season 4. But the big thing that happened this weekend, the NBCUniversal Open is what we want to start with, guys. And my goodness, we were all there. You and I were casting. Marky was playing. It was a fantastic experience on all accounts, I felt like. How'd you guys feel this weekend?
I mean, it was really fun. I had a great time casting it, seeing 2v2, the meta develop. There's no 2v2 tournaments anywhere. If you want to do more tournaments, make it 2v2. Let's get that meta sorted out, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like, I've never played a 2v2 serious tournament, just like little ones for like 50 quid here and there. So it was interesting, you know? Playing 2v2 for a lot of money, it was fun.
Yeah, for sure. We can take a look at the bracket, see how everything panned out in this particular event here. The grand finals were a lot of fun. Happened in Santa Ana at the eSports Arena, and you can see so many teams showed up here. Everybody's starting in the upper bracket. Some big upsets happened there on day one at the very beginning. G2 eSports getting beat 2-0, swept by Ambition eSports. And then in Gale Force having to go to 3 games there against Incognito. Splice got beaten by Cloud9, but then Cloud9 getting knocked out by Marky Duda and his buddy Cookser here, knocked down to the lower bracket. So much crazy stuff happened. And the craziest thing that happened is we look over back at the lower bracket, how things panned out there. Cloud9, Fibian, 2-0, day one. Tournament favorites getting knocked out. It was crazy. We'll talk about them again in a bit, but you can see the other big story was Method making the run through the lower bracket. These guys dropped 1 goal in their first in their run through the winner bracket. These guys didn't drop a single game and then made easy work of people down in the bottom, almost losing to Sizzle Your Cobb, but getting the reverse sweep there. So it was crazy stuff. And as you can see, going back to the top here, Gale Force eSports, they played them in the winners finals, and then in the grand finals, it was Gale Force eSports that comes out on top, finally getting the victory they've been chasing all summer. You heard K-Dop saying it in the interview afterwards. He's like, 4 losses in a row, 4 second places in a row, being this close. It finally felt really good for them to get the win.
Yeah, you know that after you get second place so many tournaments in a row, it's already difficult to get into the grand finals, but to get second place so many times, it becomes like a little bit of like a curse, like a mind game. Something starts psyching yourself out. So I mean, I can imagine it's pretty important for those guys to finally break the curse.
I think definitely a couple of the last couple of finals they've been in, there's been like a mental block for sure. Like at X Games, I think they should have won, but like, I think they had that little mental block, you know, so many second places.
Yeah, that was a reverse sweep, I believe, right?
I think it got in the way for sure, yeah. So
yeah,
it's nice to break that.
This has got to feel really good for them. And I want to talk, we mentioned it earlier, I want to talk about Cloud9. So many people were looking at Cloud9 coming into this tournament and calling them the favorites, the best hope from North America, and they get knocked out on day one in just 3 series. Marky Duda was the team to do it here. Yeah, talk to me about Cloud9 and about the expectation of Cloud9 coming into this tournament.
Well, we went in and we were a wee bit scared of them because, like, you know, they've been scoring crazy goals. Their redirects have been like bar down every time, and it's just, you know, hard to defend because you see a ball fly over to one of them in space and it's like, well, I've got to save a top corner shot here. But honestly, they came out and played against us, and I think they really underperformed, in my opinion. Like, not to take away from my own performance, but like, but like they made some big mistakes. Honestly, like there was definitely a couple of like counterattack goals where just like they had all the pressure and then they went for like a weird pass or like a weird bump, and I just had an open goal and I just scored.
Is there anything different? And like as a defender going up against Squishy Muffins and with a ceiling shot threat, like what do you think about that? Like how do you deal with that as a defender? Does it really change anything on the defense?
I'm not a big fan of people going for ceiling shots in 2v2s because it takes up a lot of boost, and like obviously it takes quite a long time to recover because you got no boost and you're like flopping off the ceiling and just, you know, you miss your shot and you're just like wee for like a minute just watching them dribble in the counterattack. So honestly, every time they went for a ceiling shot, I was like, unless they absolutely nail it, we're probably going to score or at least have like a really good chance. So yeah, it wasn't that scary, to be honest.
Well, you guys knocked them down to the lower bracket, and then Fibian takes care of them down there. Another team that everyone was considering a dark horse, the former Applesauce roster. Their 3v3 team has been great, but another team, you know, Flipside was on the tournament as well. Talk to me about the run for you guys here, because you didn't make it all the way to the finals, but you had a pretty good run, all things considered. How did the tournament feel for Flipside?
They got to a little bit of a nervous start against Timmy and Red. We did beat them, but like I felt like we could have played better. And then obviously we played Cloud9. played pretty well. Like maybe got gifted a couple goals, but we played well. And then like the next day, we played Method, and they just they just annihilated us. I think it was 6-0, 6-1.
Yeah.
And I played terribly, and that felt bad. And then I think we had Mocket, and that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I think we were 1 second away from winning, and they just scored on the counter-attack, and
yeah,
it happens.
Not to discredit or anything, or to kind of rub it in. I mean, that was a pretty crazy play there from Mocket to tie up the game with 1 second left. There was a bump on the back border.
And Pesci's goal in overtime. Like,
yeah.
I've never seen Pesci double touch in his life.
Yeah, that was an incredible shot.
All of a sudden he hits this insane shot. I'm like, oh well, you know.
Yeah, it had to feel really good for Pesci. A lot of people have been like, starting to wonder, is he starting to cool off? He's had a long run of not having success. So
plus, we've ruined a lot of lands for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any when you play against Pesci, you guys had so much success against them in the past? Are you just in your head going easy peasy or what?
Well, yeah, until now, yeah.
Well, it was Pesci that beat you guys in the RLC Pro League, though, as well.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count. It's too long ago. Too long ago to think about. And you talked about running into Method and feeling like Method was this team that I feel like many people did not expect, but I bet you European guys were definitely expecting them to be good. I mean, I feel like it was maybe the North Americans were sleeping on them. Talk to me about Method. That was the other big story for me, them making it all the way to the finals.
Well, they're a really, really tough pair, Metzer and Magnus. It's really hard just to keep the ball in their half. Like, every touch they take is really powerful. They get up to the ball so quick in the air. They're accurate. They're just mechanically very sound, and they rotate really well. It's just a really hard team to play against, honestly.
Yeah, it felt to me like they were playing nearly perfect defense at times, and then the offense was there to back it up. They could hit the crazy shots near the net, zero angles.
I'd say the one flaw they maybe have is they're not particularly creative. They're a bit readable, but if you're off your game at all mechanically and they just hit their shots, it doesn't matter if you can read it. If it's flying past you in the top corner,
You could see the amount of pressure they put just going up for challenges constantly. It's something I really didn't see from a lot of the other teams. And if you agree with me, it's just every single clear, it feels like they wouldn't let that go to their own half. Right away going up. Yeah.
All over you. They couldn't get the ball out of our half.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch. I know it's got to feel good for them because they're a team that a lot of people had just been sleeping on, but not really thinking about, especially even in the 3v3 scene. So got to feel good to make it all the way here. They made it all the way to the finals, but then fall in the gale first.
And we talked about their travel situation. Remember the fact that Method coming all the way from Finland, they ended up, I think, was it Magnus's dad traveled with them, ended up staying up for 24 hours straight just to make sure they made 3 or 4 different flights and a road trip down to the tournament. So.
And then they landed, and they had to immediately go and do pictures and stuff when they got there. And they were like, oh, I guess this is just the next thing I'm doing on this long day that we've got here. So, but okay, the other a bunch of amazing stories happened here this weekend. But the other thing that was really interesting was watching the NRG boys be split up onto 2 rosters. We start with Dap G here. Dapper from Renegades and Garrett G from NRG were one of the favorites to win as well. There was a bunch of teams from America that we thought had a good shot. Dap G was definitely one of them. And then you see also Jacob in these pictures here was on the other roster with Sizzle Your Cobb. These guys were crazy to watch, and they've had some of the best play we saw from North America.
Yes, Sizzle Your Cobb, really just high-flying aggression the entire time. It was so entertaining to watch, especially Jacob, just so many really fast plays. It felt like he didn't want Sis to do anything. He could do it himself.
I mean, but I was really impressed because he says just such energy. The thing that was amazing about this particular roster, the Sizzle Your Cobb roster, was the energy and the excitement the guys had about everything. They were so animated. They had this little fan of groupies too behind them that would stand behind them for every goal. They had a big old Jacob hat on and everything, and they were just amplifying the energy that these guys had. And I was actually really impressed with Sizz, especially on day 2. I felt like he was really playing out of his mind and getting the top 3 finish. Yeah,
I felt like with Sizz, it's difficult to play with Jacob, especially considering the fact that Jacob is such an aggressive player as it is, and so is Sizz. And when you come into 2v2, I mean, you were just mentioning how you think ceiling shots are ridiculous. It's just too much aggression. There's not really a place in 2v2 for that much aggression. So to see them actually go as far as they did, I thought it was a surprise. How did you feel?
Well, I think they played amazing the whole tournament. I think a lot of that's to do with the energy and just the fact that they were having fun. It can be quite easy if you're taking it too seriously to get a bit demoralized if you concede a couple goals. But I think they were just there to enjoy themselves, and that meant that the whole tournament they were just playing their game and just going for shots and just
And
it felt to me like they had almost like this untouchable attitude. When they're in that good of a mood, regardless of how they're performing, like how can you possibly mentally get into someone's space, you know? How can you possibly demoralize anybody?
yeah, it felt like the only thing that took them out was when we got to that little bit of a break where they had some time to cool off in the middle of their series against Method. They were up 2-0, like dominating fashion as well. It was like not by any means close matches, and then out of nowhere Method with that reverse sweep.
Yeah, I think that was also partly just Method stepping up as well. Like I think they went from being quite passive and quite like, you know, just sort of
lethargic,
a bit lethargic and a bit like uneager, and then like when like they were like against the wall, they started like going up for all these balls really fast and going for passes. And
well, they said it was like, you know, we had the break. They're like, let's just take it one game at a time, and then they started shutting them out over and over again. And then it was really crazy to watch Method go. We could keep talking about the tournament. We're gonna move on as this show is just getting started. We got a lot of exciting stuff on the line for you guys here. We saw Quinn and Kevin talk about their top 10 through 6 last week. It was pretty crazy. You want to see their 5 through 1? It's coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.